I'm always buying games and talking about my purchases on the channel, but I don't always get the chance to talk about the games after I've finished them, if I finish them at all. So that's going to change. I'm going to start a backlog quest. I'm going to take on the challenges of multiple games, play them through, hopefully to the finish, or until I'm satisfied and done with them, and let you guys know whether or not these are worth adding to your library. We start the quest with the finishing off a fantastic quest, a Dragon Quest. I played through Dragon Quest VII Reimagined. Now this is a game that has taken me from the back end of May up until early July. It's a very long game. It was roughly around, I think it was about 80 or so hours. Yeah. Now Dragon Quest is famous for being very kind of traditional, a turn-based JRPG with beautiful visuals using the style of Akira Toriyama. And Dragon Quest VII Reimagined is no different. Now, this is one that I actually did have on the 3DS, and I put it down time and time again, simply because it starts off, the first 2/3 of the game, I would say, is kind of just island hopping, going to different islands, just resolving what's going on there, then moving on, collecting stone fragments, going back and forth to the future. The last third kind of ramps things up a little bit and really pushes what Dragon Quest can do with a strong narrative. Now, I'm going to be honest here, this was still a fairly long game. A lot of the stuff had been trimmed down, a lot of it had been kind of made a little bit easier. In fact, this game is surprisingly easy for a Dragon Quest. And it was accessible. That's what I'm going to say. It is a very accessible Dragon Quest title. I enjoyed my time with it, but I'm going to be honest, it did feel like the last 10 or so hours was starting to get to be a little bit of a slog, which is a little bit of a shame. It's still got fun characters, it's got fun design, and honestly, it's still a really enjoyable one. Would I come back to it? Not anytime soon. It's one of those ones where, as much as I liked it, it's such a big game that I'm not going to replay it anytime soon, probably when they remake it once again. The next title I defeated was Gris, or I've been calling it Gris. Now this was a blind purchase that a few people had recommended me over the course of collecting, and I picked it up about a month ago at this point, and honestly when I played through it I was absolutely blown away. Now this is a bit of a, I wouldn't even say a traditional platformer, it's a platformer with an absolutely beautiful style, a little bit Metroidvania in which you get new abilities and kind of come back and do different things with it. It was a very gentle game, it wasn't a game that really kind of challenged me in any way, but it did tell an absolutely fantastic story. And honestly, it's one that I would wholeheartedly recommend more people check out. The art style is absolutely something else, something that hasn't really been matched many times when it comes to playing games. And the gameplay was beautiful, fairly easy, but I'm really satisfied that I played this game. It's one that I kind of wasn't sure about. I wasn't sure if it was kind of like a load of hot air where I was just like, oh, you know, this is getting a lot of hype up, but there's not really much to it. Nope, I really enjoyed it. Fairly short, I think it was about 3 or 4 hours. Like I said, it was absolutely easy. Would I go back to it? Maybe in a few years. It's not one I would maybe say I really need to replay again, and it wasn't one that I kind of felt I wanted to go for the 100%. If I just want to have a nice simple little journey, I'll be happy to go back to this one once again. Next up is a title that I picked up, and I picked it up because, well, it's one that the price fluctuates all over the place. I've seen this one go down as low as £25, I've seen it go up as much as £55. So when I saw it for about £30 a few weeks ago, I knew I had to pick it up. And of course, since I picked it up, I wanted to go through it. A very easy game, a very, very easy game. Little Kitty, Big City. Now I'm going to be 100% honest here, I am a dog person. I absolutely dogs, I've always had dogs. I'm not a huge cat person, but this was very enjoyable. You play as a little kitty who is knocked from his perch high up above the big city, is dragged down, and, well, has to explore the city below. He befriends a lot of other animals, a lot of other furry friends, and has to try and work his way back up to the apartment where he lives. It's a really nice way of platforming, having to be able to go around as a cat, do cat things, and it did take me back to the whole era of kind of like Banjo-Kazooie, Mario 64, you know, where you kind of like collecting different things in order to progress and stuff like that. It was a very enjoyable game. Again, this one wasn't too long. I did everything I could in this game, so I got all of the little hats, I got all of like the different bits and pieces. I got about 78 hours of gameplay out of this one, and honestly I really enjoyed it. Again, it wasn't really challenging. Most of the challenges come from like the platforming segments, because sometimes you will not time the jumps correctly and stuff like that. But it is a really enjoyable one. If you've got kids, and if you especially like cats, I would really recommend this one. This is another fantastic addition to the Fan Gamer collection. A collection that I am trying to get a full set of at this point. But yeah, it's a very enjoyable one. It's just, yeah, kiddies first platformer. Another title that has sat on my shelf for quite some time now, and this is one from a relatively new publisher. I have been picking up their titles as they've been putting them up for pre-order, and I wanted to try and get through them. And this one was, I really enjoyed my time with this one. Perfectly British, we'll talk about this one. The Excavation of Hobs, Barrow. Now, I'm going to be honest, the initial hook for this, when I saw this, I wasn't too kind of excited about it. I just thought, oh, it's not like it hasn't got really like interesting art or anything like that. But this is a very traditional point and click adventure slash horror. That's right. So this takes place in, I think this is the very early 1900s. The steam train has just been invented, and we've got a young woman who is an excavator of these barrows. So these barrows are kind of like basically like burial sites and stuff like that. And over the course of here, we will discover the very secrets of Hobs Barrow and the twists and turns that have brought our young protagonist to this. This is one of those games where, honestly, have you ever watched a movie and you kind of watched it and you kind of just like, what was that about? That was kind of my take on the end of this. Oh, honestly, this was fantastic. The setting, if you've ever watched League of Gentlemen, where it's kind of just like, oh, this is a local place for local people, there's nothing for you here, you will feel right at home here. I mentioned that with Thank Goodness You're Here a few months ago when I played that, and it's the same but very different. This is a village in literally the middle of nowhere. If you've ever been on holidays to say like the Lake District and you've just been to a little village where kind of it's got like a pub, it's got like a few little very small things of interest, but it's in the middle of nowhere, and the people kind of are very wary of strangers, they're very wary of change and all of that. Honestly, I love this one. I really enjoyed my time with it, and I'm not a huge person for visual novels or point and click adventures, but now I've played this, I think I'm going to try and go back and pick up a bunch more, because honestly I really enjoyed this one. Definitely one to add to the collection. And the other title I played was Mouse PI for Hire. I'm going to be honest, this is a title that kind of I had my eye on. It. I didn't bother getting the big super duper ultra collectible edition, simply because, well, it just was like, I wasn't sure. I'm not a vinyl collector, and I thought it was going to take up a lot of space. But I went to Smith's a few weeks ago and saw this on the shelf, $36.99. I was like, you know what, it's a Switch 2 physical release, I'll pick it up. And I tried it, and honestly, I enjoyed it. Now, I'm not a huge first person shooter person. I really am not. But one of the franchises I really liked was BioShock, and while it's probably just the kind of the time period for this, it kind of reminded me a bit of BioShock. Now, of course, this has that cartoon rubber banding kind of artwork, very reminiscent of Popeye, Mickey Mouse, and there's a lot of nods to those franchises. But you know what it was? This was just an enjoyable game. I like the fact that it was combined with a lot of, obviously there was a lot of FPS action shooting and stuff like that, but it was also combined with like clues, having to find clues and different stuff, and there was a lot of different things that are hidden around in each area. And it was a very enjoyable experience. It did start to wear a little bit thin towards the end. It did very much kind of start losing a little bit of the PI side, and then it started just becoming kind of go to this room, shoot these people, go to that room, shoot these people, go to that room, shoot these people, which kind of made it wear a little bit thin. And there was a lot of bosses that were kind of just... Some of the bosses started off really interesting, really good, and then eventually it kind of just became like, oh yeah, this boss is kind of standing behind here while enemies rush you, and it kind of was just like, yeah, or shoot the targets kind of thing. Performance wise, this one was a little bit iffy because it started off, it chugged quite awkwardly on the Switch too, but the later levels, which had a lot more enemies, ran a lot better. It was also one that I kind of had to take my time with. With everything being in black and white, it made it a lot more difficult to just sit and just play through, like, just kind of like, I don't know what it was, my eyes just kept feeling quite tired by the end of it. It does work with the black and white. It just kind of makes it a little bit awkward for me sitting for long periods of time just looking at black and white. Would I replay this? I would go for 100%. There's a lot of like cards and collectibles and stuff like that which you can do to get extra stuff. And yeah, I would probably go through that and just clear up the levels. Would I play through the whole thing? I don't know. This is probably about 14 to 15 hours, which is probably on the longer side for an FPS. But I did enjoy my experience with it. It was very enjoyable overall, and it's one that I think if you are on the shelf, I think it's worth giving a chance to. If I'm going to rank these games, now this is my personal opinion, I think nearly all of these games have been absolutely fantastic in their own way. First up, Little Kitty Big City. I just mentioned there's not really any reason to play this over Mario or Banjo. It's very designed for a younger generation. It's incredibly easy. It is incredibly enjoyable though. It's very satisfying just being able to play as a little cat and kind of explore the world as you would a cat. The next one is Mouse PI. Again, I very much enjoyed my experience with it. The last few missions, I kind of felt like I was rushing through to try and get to the end. It felt like it was just eventually just became a FPS shooter rather than an FPS kind of mystery kind of one. And while I did liken it to Bioshock, it doesn't kind of reach those same highs. You don't have that sneaky aspect to it, which, considering you are PI, yeah, it's very much gunfights and gunfights and gunfights. It's a very good one and there's a lot to improve on it, but it's still a very enjoyable title. Next up is Gris. Again, this is one that I think a lot of people will probably rank higher. I enjoyed it. I had a really good time with it. I didn't feel motivated to do the 100%, but I would go back to this one time and time again. Next up is Dragon Quest. Now, this is probably the most controversial one. Of course, it's a game key card, so I can't recommend it for everybody's collection. And it's not one that I'm necessarily going to go back to. But it was a very enjoyable experience from start to finish. It did start to wear thin towards the end, but I can wholeheartedly say I still really enjoyed it, and I would recommend anybody who's a JRPG fan, anybody who's a Dragon Quest fan, to get this and have a go of it. It's still really enjoyable, but it is a little bit flawed. And of course, I kind of felt like I made this one a little bit obvious when I was talking about it. The Excavation of Hobs, Barrow, definitely my favourite game that I've played in this batch of games. Honestly, it made me fall in love with point and click adventures. It's made me want to start buying point and click adventures a little bit more. And the whole presentation, the whole 8-bit kind of art style, it was just fantastic. And it also kind of reinforced Lost and Cult as a publisher for me as well. Between this Haunty, Animal Well, Thank Goodness You're Here, it has made me just blindly pick up everything that they've just announced for pre-order. So guys, that's just my opinion. What have you been adding to the shelf? Let me know in the comments. What have you been enjoying and what have you been playing? Have you been playing any of the games I've been playing? Let me know. And well, next time we're going to go on to another bigger quest, because there's a franchise that I'm constantly behind on, and there's a new title that's coming out very shortly. I'm going to go through Trails of the Sky the first, or at least start it. It's going to be JRPG heaven for a while. If you enjoyed this, leave a like, consider subscribing to the channel, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.